All right, so if you are on this part, we are going to assume that you have already kind of watched the video that really takes you through this stuff, the basics of Mendelian genetics. So if you do not understand the things that I'm about to do in this video, then you need to make sure that you go back and you watch that video, that you try to understand it, because all of the information and you understanding everything that I'm doing right now comes from that video and from that day that I was still in school and that I was going over those things in front of the board. Remember, if I was there, it was a lot, and we went through it very slowly. So if you're struggling to understand that, you may even want to go back and kind of revisit that right now before you do this. Now, there are some of you that may have already done this, and in fact, I actually wanted you to go ahead and already do this page. If you didn't, what you need to do is you need to stop watching this, and you need to go and you need to attempt to complete this page. Now, this is page number 6 of the Mendelian Genetics page. So if you have not done this yet, if it still looks like mine, what you need to do is you need to go back and you need to do it. Okay? If you have done it, what we are going to do is we're just simply going to check it. We're going to kind of talk about some things. We're going to go over it together and make sure that we're understanding things. Okay? All right, so let's start with part number 1. Part number 1 is all about the phenotype. So if you remember what the phenotype is the actual physical characteristic. You remember that is the thing that I kind of put a lot of emphasis on. It's phenotype, or physical, right? It's got that same F, the F sound. So that's how we're going to remember that phenotype means physical. So if I give you a genotype, if I give you letters, if I give you the genes behind it, what would be the resulting physical characteristic, the phenotype? So if we have two capital L's, that is what we would call homozygous dominant. If we have homozygous dominant, that corresponds down here. The L's indicate what we would call the trait of nose style. So what type of nose do we have if we have two dominant alleles of big L, big L? If you have a homozygous dominant situation, the nose style in this case is going to be a long nose because you have two of the dominant alleles. So you end up with the dominant trait. You end up with the dominant physical characteristic, the dominant phenotype. Now, if we go down and we have YY, or little y, what we are doing is we are looking at body color for this example, because Y corresponds with body color. So if we have two of the recessive, two little y's, two recessive alleles, we're going to get the recessive trait, the recessive gene. So that would be a blue body. Okay, let's clean some of this stuff up. All right, now if we have the different situation, which would be big S, little s, that's heterozygous. That's when we have one and we have the other. If you have one and the other, if you have heterozygous, remember we're talking body shape here, this one is still going to be square pants. But it's going to be square pants because when you have a dominant and a recessive, the dominant always wins. Every single time, the dominant will win. So when you have one and the other, the dominant situation is going to win. All right, now that we've done all three of the types, we've done homozygous dominant, we've done homozygous recessive, and now we've done heterozygous, we're going to move quickly through the rest of the examples. So we have homozygous dominant for eye shape, so that would be round eyes. Homozygous dominant, two dominant alleles. We've got heterozygous one and the other for eyes. So again, that is going to be round because round is dominant. When you have one with dominant and one recessive, when you have big R, little r, the dominant always wins. Here we have two little l's. That's for nose style. That is going to be a stubby nose. We have two little s's. That's for body shape. That's up here. That is going to be a round pants. Instead of a square pants, we can have a round pants. And then we have heterozygous for body color. So that one is going to be yellow because we have the dominant allele there. All right, now kind of reversing that situation, here we're going to be looking at the genotype. In other words, if I give you this physical characteristic, what is going to be the resulting gene, or what are the possibilities for the resulting gene? So one of the things that you guys may not have thought about is for some of these, there could be more than one answer. So when we look at, for example, the yellow body, We obviously know that you could get a yellow body from having big Y, little y. That makes sense. Homozygous dominant. You're, of course, going to get a yellow body. But the other one, the alternative, is to have big Y, little y, because you pair the dominant with the recessive, and you always get the dominant. Now, if we're looking at something like the round pants, of course, that has to be little s, little s. That's the only way that we are going to get a round pants is to have two recessive alleles. Okay, if we have oval eyes, what we are looking at here is we have eye shape, oval eyes, so it's little r, that's the recessive alleles. So here we have nose style, that's a long nose. So here we have two options. It's either big L, that works, or it could be big L, little l, that also works. Okay, stubby nose is going to be recessive, that's two little l's. Round eyes, again, two options, big R, or big R, both work. Square pants, same idea. It could be big S, or it can be big S, little s. That works. Blue body, there's only one way, little y, little y. All right, now down here we can see it in a couple of different ways. Here we're talking about heterozygous round eyes. So we're looking for the genotype for heterozygous round eyes. So round eyes are going to be resulting in an R. So eye shape is going to be R. We've got heterozygous, that means we've got one in the other. That's big R, little r. Now I'm going to skip over, I'm going to do this one next. We got homozygous long nose, so that's homozygous, that means the same. So it's got to be homozygous long nose, that's big L, the same. Now whenever you see words like this, purebred, we're going to say purebred is going to be the same as homozygous, and we're going to say hybrid is the same as heterozygous. Okay, now when you have purebred square pants, that's homozygous square pants, that is going to be homozygous, so it's got to be the same. So it's square pants, so it's going to be big S, big S. Now over here it's hybrid, so it's heterozygous yellow body, so it's still going to be yellow body. It's just going to have one and then the other. It's going to be big Y, little y. Now down here, let's do some of these Punnett square practices. Okay, now one of SpongeBob's cousins, Sponge Billy Bob, recently met a cute SquarePants gal, and what I want you to do with these word problems, guys, is I want you to highlight. So if you look at this first one, I'm highlighting information that I think might come back and be important to me. So I'm going to understand that Sponge Billy Bob met cute SquarePants gal. We're indicating that she is SquarePants at a local dance and they fell in love. Use your knowledge about genetics to answer the questions below. If Sponge Gertie's father is heterozygous SquarePants, and her mother is a round pants, what is Sponge Gertie's genotype? Okay, well, what we found out here is that we know that Sponge Gertie is a square pants. So you're sitting there going, okay, square pants, that's either got to be big S, or it's got to be big S, little s. Do we pick? And the answer to that is no. You don't just pick whichever one you want. You got to use the Punnett square and you got to plug some things in. So we know that her dad is a heterozygous square pants and her mom's a round pants. So dad always goes on top, mom always goes to the side. So heterozygous square pants is going to be big S, little s for dad, and round pants is going to be little s for mom. So it's big S, little s, little s, little s, big S, little s, little s, little s. So remember, when we're trying to figure out Gertie's genotype, remember we came up with the ideas that it could either be big S, or it could be big S, little s. Well, which one is the only option down here? We can only find, there is no big S, it's only big S, little s. So that's the only option that she can be, because that's the only thing that came from her parents. There is no possibility within that Punnett square of being big S. So she has to be big S, little s. All right, now the second part here. Sponge Billy Bob is heterozygous for his square pants shape. So he is also going to be big S, little s, because he is, as they say, heterozygous for his square pants. All right, now it wants to know the possibilities that would result if Sponge Billy Bob and Sponge Gertie had kids. So what we do is we take Sponge Billy Bob and we put him on top, big S, little s. We take Sponge Gertie and we put her on the side, big S, little s. And we start to fill out the Punnett square. So it's big S, big S, little s, big S, little s, little s, little s. Okay, different possible genotypes here. So what are the different possible genotypes? So let's color coordinates. We've got different possible genotypes. We've got, let's see, we got big S, that's a possibility. We've got big S, that's another possibility. And then we got little s, that's also a possibility. Now what are the different phenotypes that are possible from this, and we only have two, right? We can either be square pants, and that would be, let's highlight. It can either be square pants, that guy's going to be square pants, this guy's going to be square pants, this guy's going to be square pants, and the last guy here is going to be round pants. So the only two options here are square pants or round pants. So it's either going to be square pants or round pants. I want to know the probability that the kids will have square pants. And to go do that, remember, we kind of got to go back and we got to count. Okay, so this one will be square pants. 2 will be square pants. 3 out of the 4 will be square pants. This one, no. Okay, so we got 3 out of 4. That's 75%. What's the probability that kids will have round pants? That is 1 out of 4. That's 25%. Okay, guys, so again, if you do not understand this, what you need to do is you kind of need to go back and watch the video before. Don't just try to work yourself through this one. You got to start with the basics. You got to go back to the video before. So do me a favor, if you couldn't figure this one out, if this one still confused you, go back to the video before, watch it again, and then go back to this one and try to work through it and try to understand it. We're going to get more practice, but you got a lot of time here over the next several days with me not being there to kind of go slow and to kind of make sure that you're trying to get this stuff. So go back, watch some old videos, keep trying, all right? And I will promise you I will do the best that I can. If you're super lost, send me an email and let me see if I can walk you through some things. I don't have all the time in the world, but I will try my best to give you guys some of the time that I do have. So let me know if you need help. Good luck, and I will send out another video here shortly.